Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Chanel Holiday Collection. So I purchased most of this collection and let's go ahead and start off with swatches. We're going to start off with this highlighter that I have right here. So this is called Diamond Dust. Now I want to bring your attention to something you can kind of see when the light is shifting. This is the area I've used. You can see that this gold glitter here is an overspray. So once you get down past the overspray, let me show you the difference here. You can see it is going to be more of a metallic finish. And let me just buff that out a little bit. So here is the actual highlighter. And then if I were to swatch an area with the overspray on top, you can see it's much more glittery. So once you get past that overspray, yes, you do still have some glitter, but it's not going to be as glittery as I think what a lot of the swatch photos we've seen online actually are, because there is a top coat on that. And I could actually use the highlighter a few times before getting through that top coat. So just something to note there. It's more of a metallic finish, and I actually have a great comparison for this highlighter. But first, let's take a look at the demos for this. The Diamond Dust highlighter is an oversized highlighter. We have 18-month shelf life. It's made in Italy, and we have 15 grams of product. It does not come with a brush or anything else. Now, as you're looking at the demos, on the right side of my cheek, I used a larger brush, which is a Sonia G detail brush. So it's an angled cheek brush. And I really wanted to show you what that looked like with the overspray on. So it's going to be more glittery. It's more pronounced. However, on the other side, I went in with the Detail Pro brush from Sonia G. A little bit smaller, went in a little bit lighter. That's the more metallic finish that we get from that. You can also see what the highlighter looks like on the eyes, because I do think this makes a really beautiful eyeshadow. And it does complement the big palette that they have for this collection as well, the Enchanted Night palette. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. But overall, for the highlighter, I have to say I have mixed thoughts on this. I think it looks stunning. You pick it up, you see it with the overspray. It's absolutely beautiful, but it's definitely glittery. I don't really like personally using it with the overspray. So for my use, I'll be removing the overspray in the areas that I'm working on. But even once you get past that, you still have some glitter. And it does have, it's a champagne gold with a pink reflect, which is very, very similar to the new Gucci Glow highlighter in Sunrise Gold. So let's take a look at that. So here's the Chanel. Again, you can see the area I used versus the Gucci Glow in number 1, Sunrise Gold. And you can see that they look completely different in the pan. But let's go ahead and swatch the Gucci. Now, first off, you can see that our base on the Gucci is going to be more white, and this is going to be a more metallic finish in general. We don't really have any glitter particles that you can feel. It's also a gel powder formula versus a straight up powder from Chanel. I would say that the Gucci has a more intense reflect. You can see we go from more of a gold to a pink. And when you pile that on, you really get more of a blinding metallic shift. But look at the Chanel. Let me swatch the Chanel again. So this is the Chanel again without any overspray on it. And you can see where they're like touching there at the bottom, how close those two actually are. So I think if you're interested in the shade, whether you prefer the Gucci or the Chanel is going to depend on what type of finish you prefer. The Gucci will be a little bit more intense, a little bit more metallic, but it's also a smoother, creamier product because it is a gel powder formula, whereas the Chanel is going to be a straight up powder highlighter. It's going to be a little bit more firm in the pan, but you don't have the same level of creaminess that you do with the Gucci. Overall, I think it's a nice highlighter, but I am a little disappointed with how similar it is to the Gucci. One big difference, though, is the Gucci base is still going to be lighter than the Chanel base. The Chanel base is definitely more golden, but I do think that once you apply them as a traditional highlighter on the face, they have a very similar appearance depending on how much you put on. Again, the Gucci can be more intense. So I think it's a nice highlighter. But it's not a love for me. Personally, I think I would have preferred having this highlighter without the pink reflect. I appreciate that they're trying something a little new and a little different, but I think that it would have been nice to have something a little more traditional in this collection because the rest of it is a little bit more outside the box for Chanel. What I'm waiting for in terms of a highlighter from Chanel is I would love to see something that's not glittery, but it's very finely milled, smooth, still have some shimmer, some sheen to it. But I would love to see a soft champagne and even like a soft white highlight, perhaps even some other shades. I think a formula though without the pieces of glitter is what a lot of people are kind of waiting for from Chanel. So let's see if they go there in the future. But overall, I think this is a nice highlighter, but it's not an amazing highlighter. Now, the main piece of the collection is actually this Enchanted Night palette from Chanel. So this is actually meant for the eyes and the face. So it's an eyeshadow and blush palette. And let's go ahead and take a look at this. So this has more of your baked formula. You can see we have a bit of a pearly finish with the pink here. You can see there's a little bit of a sheen. And it's not really going to be a glittery shade, but you still have a little bit of a metallic vibe to it. And because it is that baked formula, you have that grippiness to it, which I really like. I think it's nice, it's easy to put on. And because of this baked formula, you can also really apply it softly and get more of a washed out shade on your lids if you choose, or on your cheeks, or you can really build it up. The next shade here is going to be a glitter shade. And you can see this is a silver with a blue tone to it. So this is a blue-based silver. And you can see it's definitely more of a topper shade. It's glitter. It's like a pressed glitter. And so we have more of a translucent base. But, you know, the glitter shade in here is silver with, you know, leaning towards blue. And yeah, you know, it's a glitter. So I think for the cheeks, you could definitely use this as a highlighter. You could use this on the eyes as a topper or on its own. But remember, it is going to be a transparent base. So if you're looking to have this shade itself on the eyes, it doesn't quite accommodate that. You'll see that in the eye swatches in just a couple of minutes. But our next shade here is going to be more of a bronzed orange. And this is going to be a very smooth, shimmery shade. This has more of a satin shimmer finish. It is not going to be grippy like the pink shade. It is going to be smooth. However, I wouldn't say it's like 100% silky smooth. You can still feel that there are shimmer particles in it. The next shade here is going to be purple. And this, again, is going to be more, it feels more like the pink one. A little bit more grippiness here. And you can see here on my finger that this is going to be purple. And we do have a bit of pink in this purple base, but we have some blue glitter in here. We also have a little bit of pink glitter. So I think it's pretty. So these are the shades for the palette. Let's take a look at the demos. For the demos, I showed these on the eyes and the cheeks. The Enchanted Night palette is made in Italy. We have an 18-month shelf life and 12 grams of product. It does not come with any utensils or brushes. And I think the oversized size of it actually helps if you're going to use this as a face palette. It's easy to put a brush or an applicator in that versus using a smaller eyeshadow palette. However, you know, for me personally, a lot of the shades are, they definitely have a strong sheen to them or some sparkles. So not everybody is going to like using these as a face palette, but for those who do, you can definitely apply these very softly or make them a bit more amped up. So in the demos, as I'm showing you the eyes and the cheeks, on the cheeks, I went in first very softly with the Sonia G Soft Buffer, but then I went in and added a stronger layer so you could see more of the maximum potential of the shades. So if you have a deeper skin tone, that's about the intensity level that we can get from these on the face. you could go slightly more intense with a more dense buffing brush. Now, according to Chanel, the Chanel Makeup Creation Studio and the Comet Collective drew inspiration from the incandescent light of the aurora borealis and the silver glimmer of a frosty snowflake when creating Enchanted Night, which is part of the Holiday 2024 collection. A palette of 4 new limited edition eyeshadow and blush shades featuring pearly satin finishes, a fuchsia pink, a silver top coat, a copper coral, and a burnished purple brown with blue iridescence. With this generously sized palette, the potential for luminous holiday makeup looks is limitless. Overall, when I first started playing with this palette, I wasn't sure how much I liked it. The formulas are nice. I do, as my eyes are aging, my skin's getting a bit more mature, I do appreciate slightly softer formulas. You can feel that these have shimmer, have a little bit of grittiness to them, which now that my eyes are getting a little bit more sensitive, that can be bothersome to use repeatedly. But the more I play with this, the more I actually like the palette. It's fun, and you can really create a beautiful like sunset look with this. You can focus more on the purple with the blue, focus more on the bronzed coral. I think, you've got a lot of potential with this. Personally, I prefer this palette more on the eyes than on the cheeks, just because they are pretty luminous shades, and the topper there is definitely glittery, which for me personally, as a highlight, I prefer the holiday highlighter that came with this collection, the Diamond Dust shade, or, something without a little shimmer, especially if I'm going in with one of these shades as a blush, because they have their own pearlescent sheen to them. I don't feel like I actually need to use a highlighter with those. Now, as for using these on the face as blushes and highlighters, I think the pink works really well for that. Again, we'll have a little bit of luminosity with that. So it's supposed to give what they consider a dewy finish. It definitely gives some radiance there. The glitter silver shade, I think it's too much of a pressed glitter personally for me to use on the face, but I think it does look nice on the eyes, it pairs well with the eyeshadows, and it can help cool off some of the shades. So you can see in today's eye look, I put the orangey coral bronze shade. I put that one kind of in the inner corner and then topped it with the frosty blue glitter. And it helps cool that off a little bit and just add a little bit of transition. As for that particular shade on the face, the orangey shade there, I think this gives more of a soft metallic finish to the skin. I think it's a really pretty shade for warmer skin tones, but again, you will have that metallic sheen on your skin once you buff that in. But I think that looks really nice. And honestly, if you put that more towards the back of the cheekbone and then you add a pop of the pink right there on the apples, I think you can make a really beautiful gradation there. As for the purple with the blue luminescence, this one, you have to be a little careful with this one on the cheeks because it can look a bit more like a bruise. So you really, in my opinion, go in with a very light hand first. And I actually don't like this one on the face straight up with my complexion, because for me, that bluish hue in there really does look a little bit too bruise-like, even if I go in with a light hand. But mixing the purple with the pink, as I did for today's look, I really like that. I think that adds just a really nice combination. Again, because of the blue luminescence in the purple shade, I don't think you really need an additional highlighter, but I did add the Diamond Dust, kind of right above that. And I think it adds a nice, more of a champagne glow to it. And that pink reflect in there ties in well with the pink in the blush. And I think all of these shades work very well on the eyes. They blend nicely, they apply very easily, and they all have enough of a grippiness that you don't really have to worry about fallout, except from the silver topper shade. And, you can put them on very sheerly or build them up, and yet they blend easily. So I think performance on these is actually very nice. The only one that I don't love would be the glitter shade, just because it is going to be a little bit of a looser glitter. I mean, it's a pressed glitter, but the base itself, I feel like it needs just a little bit more adhesion in there to prevent a little bit more fallout. So overall though, I think it's a nice palette and it's actually a lot of fun to play with. So I like it more than I thought I would when I first started using it. So I have one comparison that I wanted to make with this palette for Chanel. And that is this palette from Givenchy. This is one of the holiday palettes a couple years back. This is number 9.10. If you're not familiar with the Givenchy palettes, one of the things I think is so cute is you get these little utensils here that you can either use like that, or you can put them together, have a dual-ended brush. So I think that's kind of a cute detail because I don't know of any other brand that actually does it like that where you can create your own dual-ended. But let me go ahead and show you these two palettes next to each other. So you can kind of see we have this color story for the Chanel palette in this Givenchy palette. So let's take a look at these swatches here. And you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and swatch the palette. I'm going to swatch them in order, but I'm going to kind of match them up a little bit more with some of the shades they might be similar to. Let me actually swatch this second shade one more time. So that is this shade here, but I wanted to see how that compared to the pink. You can see it's pretty similar. And then this shimmery pink here actually is going to be a bit warmer. Then for the second row, we have more of this silvery shade, but you can see this is more metallic. Again, we have a little bit of blue in there, but it's not a pressed glitter. We have a taupe and a light pink in the middle row. And I'll just put these here because those two aren't really going to go with the rest of this palette. And then for the bottom row, we have a metallic red shade. Let's squeeze that in right there. And you can see that's warmer. It's more of a rusty red. Then we have this orange, which I really wanted to see how that compared. And you can see that those are very close. Very similar shades. And then we have this deep purple. This is going to be a really deep purple though with pink glitter. And you can see it's significantly deeper. But the color story itself reminded me a lot of this new Chanel Enchanted Night palette. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few more items. So before we move on from eyes to the lip products, I also picked up this lock. So this is going to be one of the Ombre Premier locks, and it's number 47 Milky Way. And I mean, I couldn't resist this. I think it's an absolutely beautiful color here, and you can really kind of sheer this out a bit as well. Now, I will show you the eye demo for this in just a second, but I also wanted to show you the liquid eyeliner from Chanel. So this is number 538, and this is going to be a deep purple. And you can see that this is going to be a bit more of a reddish purple, whereas the lock is going to be more of a bluish grayish purple. And we do have shimmer in there. So let's take a look at the demos while we talk about these. So taking a look at the Ombre Premier lock, this again is going to be shade number 47 Milky Way. And personally, I really like this formula. We have a 6-month shelf life. These are made in France, and we have 6 milliliters of product. So this dries fairly quickly. So you definitely want to work fast. You can see in the eye demo, I had it looking nice, and then I decided to add more, and it ended up looking a little patchy because I added a little bit too much and it had not completely set in the prior layer. So definitely something to watch out for. You want to work quickly with this because it will dry quickly. And we have more of a black base with this with some deep eggplant purple shades, and we have multicolored glitter in here. So there's pink, blue, purple, green, gold. You know, I can see so many different shades of glitter in this. And one of the great things about having this in the liquid formula is you get that multicolored shimmer. You don't get a ton of sparkle. It's enough to reflect the light, but you don't have to worry about fallout. And actually, I really like using the lock as a liquid eyeliner. I think it's a great product for that. And personally, I think I prefer the lock to the liquid eyeliner in number 538 that I picked up. So the eyeliner 538 is Prune Mysteria, and we have 2.5 milliliters. It's made in France with a 6-month shelf life. And sometimes I'll put these all over the lid and use them as a liquid eyeshadow. It works very well for that. If you prefer a more blue-based purple, a cooler tone shade, go for the lock. But if you prefer something with a little bit more red in it, then this is a really beautiful shade. And I think the formula is really nice. And yeah, overall, I think it's a nice liner. I'm still glad I picked it up, but I do prefer the shade of the lock, which I'll probably use as a liquid liner also. So overall, I think these are both great products that I think haven't really gotten much of the limelight in this collection because of the oversized palettes, but I think these are definitely worth doing. So let me know if you'd be interested, but I was thinking of doing another video featuring more on some of the liquids in this collection because I feel like they kind of haven't gotten much of the attention on social media, at least. And yeah, so I'd love to feature the lock in particular more as a star. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. Otherwise, it's something I'll be playing with on my own. Let's take a look at the lip products as well. And let's start off with the Rouge Allure L'Extrait lipsticks. All right, so I'm not sure if I can really get this to focus on here. The light keeps hitting it and making it a little bit blurry, but you can see we have the CC logo, the Coco Chanel logo in the center with a starburst design around it. So this is limited edition packaging. Just like all the other Rouge Allure L'Extraits, we don't have the product shade and stuff on the sticker on the bottom because they're technically refillable. So the limited edition shades you can't purchase as refills, but we do have the information printed here. So this first shade here is number 917 Rose Boreal, and these just click in here. Now the Rouge Allure L'Extrait lipsticks I think are a very nice lipstick product. They are going to be very smooth. They're pretty intensely pigmented with one swipe and they're comfortable, but they are going to be kind of a softer product, which is why I'm glad we have the slim style packaging. It prevents the breakage, but you can see I haven't used this a ton yet, but we've already used a decent amount of the product. So let me just show you what that looks like when we wind it all the way up. So it'll definitely still last a while, but it is something worth noting, I think. So this is going to be the full size of the product. And again, this is number 917 Rose Boreal. And I really like this shade. It is going to be a little bit of a warmer pink. You can see we have a little bit of a reflect with this. We have some pink blue shimmer in here. So the base itself is a warm pink with a little bit of a coral reflect to it. But then we have blue and pink glitter in it. So it's kind of interesting because you have kind of that warmer base, but then you have the cooler top coat of the glitter. The other Rouge Allure L'Extrait I picked up is going to be number 937 Rouge Spectral. And this one actually, when I saw the pictures online, it looked more of like a shimmery coral, but it is going to be a soft, warm red. And we do have a little bit of shimmer in here, but nothing really outlandish, nothing major here. Now, I do want to note that when you are wearing this, you can feel the shimmer in the Rose Boreal. I don't really feel it in the Rouge Spectral, but I can feel a little bit of that texture. It doesn't feel gritty per se. It's not, you know, it's finely milled, but I can feel that there's something there. Then I also picked up the two Rouge Allure Locks, which I love this formula. I just wish they would add some more cooler toned, lighter shades to it. So I was really happy to see these shades here. This is 94 Crystal Pink, which is what's on my lips right now. And I've actually maximized your pigmentation for that. But you can put this on very softly, very lightly, and get more of a soft shimmery pink. Now you can see that this is also going to be a soft shimmery pink. We have some multicolored glitter in here. Primarily the glitter in this shade is going to be pink. We do have some blue, but we've got mostly pink glitter in here. And you can see that this is going to be significantly cooler in tone than the Rose Boreal. So the Rose Boreal is going to be more of your shimmery pink for warmer tones, whereas the Lock is better for cooler tones. It's more of a magenta. And then we have 95 Spell, which I just thought was a stunning red. So one of the things I can't wait to do is wear the Ombre Premier Lock in Milky Way with this red lipstick. I just think it's going to be such a beautiful classic look. We have a little bit of luminosity with this. You don't see any actual glitter pieces in this one like you do in the Pink Crystal. So these are the lip products I purchased. There are 2 more Rouge Allure Extraits that I did not purchase. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lip swatches. Now the Rouge Allure Extrait lipsticks, we have 2 grams of product. These are going to be made in France and we have an 18-month shelf life. As I mentioned, these are refillable. And I personally do like this formula. I think it's comfortable. It stays on pretty well because it is highly pigmented, so it will definitely leave a stain. I think the shades that I purchased are really fun. Particularly the Rose Boreal. I think it's a bit unique and special for Chanel. I think that one's really fun. It goes very well with the palette. But if you're kind of looking to subdue some of the luminosity from the palette, it's nice to have some shades without all the shimmer, like the Rouge Spectral. Now, the Rouge Spectral is really going to be more of a soft reddish coral. We have... there's definitely a bit more orange in it. It's more of an orangey red, and it's softer because it's not as strongly pigmented as some reds might be. So I do think, it's kind of a deep coral, soft red kind of shade. And I think it's a really beautiful shade. I think it goes beautifully with the orange shade in the palette. So if you're going for a more orangey warm look, I think the Rouge Spectral lipstick is a beautiful accompaniment for that blush eyeshadow shade. As for the Rouge Allure Locks, these personally are my favorite lip products in this collection. I really love both of the shades. If you're looking for something more traditional, definitely 95 Spell is a gorgeous red. And it's going to be neutral leaning cool. We do have some cool undertones to it, but it's not super pink or super blue. So it's a pretty neutral red. And I think it's classic Chanel. So I think if you're looking for more of a classic look from this year's holiday collection, going with something like 95 Spell, and then perhaps even the holiday highlighter, which you could use on your eyes with or the Milky Way on your eyes, the Ombre Premier, and, either using the highlighter on your eyes and lining with the Milky Way or the liquid liner, or, whatever, different combinations. But I think those are the products that will give you a more traditional look for this year's holiday collection. But I have to say, I love this pink crystal shade, or crystal pink shade, number 94, because it's so fun. It's so unique. And what I really like about it is you've got a lot of shimmer in here, but because of this formula, you don't feel it. So while I can feel a little bit of the shimmer in the Rouge Allure Extrait, I do not feel it in the Rouge Allure Lock. So it locks that in, it stays put, and these are pretty long wearing. So I really like the formula, and I love the 2 new shades. They are the stars of the lip products, in my opinion. So I just have a few comparisons I wanted to make. Let's start off with this. This is the Chanel Rouge Allure Lock in number 71 Myth. So this is going to be an older shade in the permanent line. It's actually a metallic red, and this is going to be a warmer red. So I don't have another red that's close to it, but I did want to kind of compare that. You can see it's still going to be more red than the Rouge Spectral. But speaking of the Rouge Spectral, the first products that came to mind were actually the Ultra Shine lip shades from Tom Ford this summer. So we have number 32, Pesh Parody. And we'll put these up here so we can kind of compare them. You can see that this one here is going to be a bit more peach, but I still think it's a similar hue to it. It's definitely more peach and a little bit lighter. And then we have a red. This is 31, Ile d'Amour. And let's see here. This is an intense red. So this is Ile d'Amour. And yeah, so the Peche Paradis is definitely going to be closer to the Rouge Spectral. And then I also wanted to take a look at the new Chantecaille Lip Crystal shades that came out. And this is Pink Topaz, which we'll just put that one up here, but it does not match. I just wanted to give you a kind of an idea. This is definitely going to be more of a nude pink. But the one I really wanted to take a look at is Aventurine. And I wanted to see how this compares with this shade here, the Rouge Allure Extreme Rose Boreal, which you can see this is going to be a little bit cooler. When the Rose Boreal when you see more of those cooler shades in the Reflect, it's very similar to Aventurine. But if you're going to compare Aventurine with the Chanel Lock, you can see it's going to be a little bit warmer. This is more pink, whereas the Lock has a little bit more berry in it. And this is an older crystal in Rubelite. So I'm going to squeeze this one in right here. Nope, definitely more pink. So those were just a few quick comparisons. But overall, I have to say that the holiday collection from Chanel, I think it's a fun collection, but I don't think it is the traditional holiday collection from Chanel that we are used to. That being said, I think it's fun. So is it going to appeal to everybody? Definitely not. I do think that they are trying to attract a bit of a younger demographic, but I think it's really fun to play with, and you can definitely mix in some of these pieces with some of your more traditional items to just add something in. So I think this is a collection. If you're looking for something more traditional, pick up maybe one or two key pieces to kind of tie in with things that you already have, give it a little update. If you're looking for something really fun, something more, in my opinion, like New Year's Eve style, I think the palette is really nice. You can see I accidentally smeared this on my clothes, but I do think it's very similar to the Givenchy 9.10 palette if you do have that one. So overall, I think it's a nice collection, but for me, it's not a true have to have this kind of collection. So let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think about this collection down below, what your favorite pieces are from this. If I had to pick up just one thing, for me, it would probably be one of these Rouge Allure locks. I'm not sure which, either the 95 or the 94, but I love those. And then next up would be the Ombre Premiere lock in Milky Way, followed by the palette in Enchanted Night. I think that one is so much fun to play with. And yeah, I think those would be my top pieces from this collection. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and please share your thoughts down below in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. I'll see you very soon.